Welcome to Media Storm Cooper. Now let's begin with our top story. President Donald Trump has received troubling news from his own backyard in Florida. In a special election held this week, voters in the State House district that includes his Mar-a-Lago resort delivered a clear setback to the Republican Party and, by extension, to the president himself. This was not just any local race. The contest took place in Palm Beach County, right in the heart of the area Trump has long called home. For years, this stretch of coastal Florida has leaned heavily toward Republicans. Yet on Tuesday, a Democrat named Emily Gregory pulled off a narrow but meaningful victory. She defeated the Republican candidate John Maples by a margin of roughly 2 percentage points. With nearly all votes counted, Gregory stood at about 51%, while Maples received 49%. The outcome carries real weight because of where it happened. Mar-a-Lago sits squarely inside District 87. Trump maintains his official residence there. He spends considerable time at the property, and the club has become a symbol of his presence in the state. When a Democrat wins in territory that includes the president's own estate, it raises immediate questions about his standing with voters who know him best. To understand the scale of this shift, it helps to look at recent history in the same district. In the 2024 presidential election, Trump carried the area by around 11 percentage points. Some analyses put the Republican advantage even higher in prior cycles, with margins approaching 19 points in the previous State House race. A swing of more than 13 points in a short time is striking. It suggests that something has changed in the political mood of this community. Emily Gregory is a business owner and the spouse of a military veteran. This was her first run for public office. She campaigned on issues that matter to everyday residents in Palm Beach County, protecting local communities, addressing the cost of living, and standing up for working families. Gregory presented herself as someone focused on practical solutions rather than national headlines. In her victory statement, she spoke about knowing her neighbors and believing the area deserved leadership that would fight for their daily concerns. Her opponent, John Maples, brought a different background. He had served on a local city council and worked as a financial planner. Trump gave Maples a strong public endorsement, describing him as the clear choice for the district. The president even cast his own vote by mail in this election, despite his long-standing criticism of mail-in voting in other contexts. Records confirm that Trump's ballot was counted. The narrow result, Gregory leading by fewer than 800 votes, does not erase the fact that Republicans still hold a strong overall position in Florida. The state legislature remains firmly under GOP control, with supermajorities in both chambers. Yet the loss of even one seat in Trump's home territory stands out. It is the kind of symbolic defeat that political observers watch closely because it can reveal broader trends. Analysts have already begun connecting this outcome to the larger picture heading into the 2026 midterm elections. CNN's data expert Harry Enton noted that a swing this large, if repeated across the country, could point to significant trouble for the party in power. Midterm elections have historically been difficult for the president's party. Voters often use them to register dissatisfaction with the direction of the country. This result in Palm Beach adds fuel to that pattern. Several factors appear to have played a role here. Some point to dissatisfaction with national policies coming out of Washington. Others highlight local concerns, rising costs, housing pressures, or specific issues affecting South Florida communities. There is also the simple reality that special elections can draw different kinds of voters than general elections. Turnout was modest, and the contest did not feature the full weight of a presidential race. Still, the geographic closeness to Mar-a-Lago makes the defeat hard to dismiss. For a president who has built much of his political identity around strength and loyalty in his base areas, seeing his home district flip, even narrowly, creates an uncomfortable narrative. Democrats have been quick to celebrate the win as evidence of shifting momentum. They describe it as a clear signal that voters are growing uneasy with the current administration's approach. Republicans, for their part, are downplaying the importance. They note that Florida remains a reliably red state at the statewide level. Governor Ron DeSantis and other GOP leaders continue to emphasize strong registration advantages and past victories. Some argue that special elections are poor predictors of future results because they often hinge on unique local dynamics or low participation. Yet the numbers tell their own story. A district that supported Trump by double digits just over a year ago has now chosen a Democrat. That kind of movement deserves careful examination. Political professionals on both sides will study precinct-level data to see exactly where the shift occurred. Did it happen closer to the wealthier waterfront areas near Mar-a-Lago or in the more suburban and working-class neighborhoods farther inland? Those details will matter as strategists prepare for November 2026. This is not the first recent special election to go against Republican expectations. Democrats have scored several upsets in various parts of the country over the past months. Each one adds to a growing sense among some observers that the political environment may be turning more challenging for the GOP. The Palm Beach result stands out because of its proximity to the president. It is harder to wave away when it happens in the backyard of the most powerful figure in the party. Trump himself has not yet offered an extended public reaction to the loss. In the past, he has moved quickly to distance himself from disappointing outcomes or to reframe them as isolated events. His team may choose to focus instead on the broader strength of Republican governance in Florida or on policy achievements at the federal level. Supporters will likely argue that one state house seat does not define a presidency or a party's future. At the same time, the optics are difficult. Images of Mar-a-Lago under Democratic representation in the state legislature carry a certain sting. The club has hosted countless political events, fundraisers, and strategy sessions. It has served as a second White House of sorts during Trump's time in office. Now, the district that contains it will send a Democrat to Tallahassee. Looking ahead, this race offers lessons for both parties. For Democrats, it reinforces the value of grassroots campaigning and candidate quality, even in tough territory. Gregory ran a focused race and connected with voters on the ground. Her background as a small business owner and military spouse may have helped broaden her appeal. For Republicans, the setback is a reminder that no district is truly safe if underlying voter sentiment begins to shift. National issues inevitably bleed into local contests. If concerns about the economy, immigration enforcement, or other hot-button topics continue to weigh on certain voters, those effects could show up again in bigger races next year. Florida as a whole has trended Republican in recent cycles. Trump won the state comfortably in 2024. The GOP holds the governorship and dominates the legislature. Yet, pockets of change exist, particularly in coastal and suburban areas where demographics and economic pressures evolve. Palm Beach County has long mixed wealthy enclaves with more diverse and middle-class communities. That mix can produce surprising results when national winds blow in a certain direction. Political scientists often describe midterms as a referendum on the sitting president. Approval ratings, economic conditions, and major policy fights all influence how voters behave when they head to the polls without a presidential candidate on the ballot. If the Palm Beach special election is any indication, some voters in even traditionally supportive areas may be signaling discomfort. None of this guarantees a wave election in 2026. Politics can shift quickly. Strong economic numbers, successful legislative achievements, or external events could alter the landscape. Republicans still enjoy structural advantages in many parts of the country, including favorable district maps in some states. But early warning signs like this one in Trump's hometown district are the kind that party leaders study closely. Emily Gregory will now take her seat in the Florida House. She will represent constituents who live alongside one of the most famous political figures in modern American history. Her presence there will serve as a daily reminder of the narrow loss suffered by the Republican side. For the next year and beyond, both parties will watch how she performs and how the district responds. In the broader scheme, this single race will not decide the fate of the nation. Yet its location gives it outsized importance. When voters who see the president's residence on a regular basis choose differently than expected, it invites reflection on why that happened. Was it a protest vote? A reaction to specific policies? Simple fatigue with the party in power? Or something more personal tied to local issues? The answers will emerge slowly as more data and more contests unfold. For now, the headline remains straightforward. In the place Donald Trump calls home, his endorsed candidate fell short and a Democrat claimed the seat. That fact alone ensures this story will linger in political conversations for weeks to come. As the country moves closer to the 2026 midterms, campaigns on both sides will draw lessons from Palm Beach County. Democrats will try to replicate the ground game and messaging that worked here. Republicans will look for ways to shore up support in similar districts and prevent further erosion. The president and his allies will need to decide whether to engage directly with the setback or treat it as an outlier. What is clear is that American elections continue to surprise even in places that once seemed predictable. Loyalty to a party or a personality has limits when daily realities press in. Voters in District 87 sent a message this week. It may prove to be an early indicator of larger currents, or it may remain a local anomaly. Either way, it has injected fresh uncertainty into the political calendar. The coming months will reveal whether this hometown result was a one-time event or the start of something more significant. For Donald Trump, a man who prides himself on winning, the news from Mar-a-Lago's district is a reminder that even the strongest political brands face tests on their home soil.